Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at GPK's Snapfire. I'm a big fan of Snap Core, and it's definitely something I recommend you guys play, and the reason why is I think this hero is more versatile than ever. I've actually played a couple of games of it myself, so I have a lot of insights on this hero that I typically wouldn't be able to provide. So without further ado, let's look at GPK's Snapfire, and really I want you guys to give this a shot in your pubs if you're looking for a hero that almost never has a bad laning stage, does well in the mid game, and scales well into the late game. So basically what I'm saying is this hero is always good, and I actually really mean that. Let's talk about why. Alright, before we get into the main part of the video, I do want to let you guys know that I'm not only posting videos here on YouTube, I also frequently post videos on the website. If you don't know what I'm talking about, almost every single day I'm posting a new video to the Game League website. We're going to teach you guys in depth about how to get to the next level. So if you want to become absolutely broken and really take your game to the next level, I'm going to be able to help you, because sometimes the guides on YouTube, there's either not enough of them, they're not specific, or they're just tier lists, which I know you guys love, but at the end of the day, the Game League website is going to help you get to the next level. So click the link down below and sign up. Alright, first things first, Snapfire is a universal hero. And when you're a universal hero, you just get so much damage per level, and you can stat up and get damage from statting up. So the early game items, which give you a ton of damage, are just a ton of stats. You're buying a ton of strength, so you're really tanky, and yeah, you just scale really well. So in the laning stage, the main thing you want to keep in mind about Snapfire is your stats are quite good. The only not so great thing about this hero is your attack range. Your attack range is 500, which is lower than the average 550 to 600 attack range of a lot of ranged heroes. So you do have to keep that in mind, that sometimes it can be a little unfavorable to trade, and you will pull more creep aggro than other heroes. So you have to be a little aware of that. Now the main advantage of Snapfire in the laning stage is how ridiculous Scatterblast is as an ability. Scatterblast is an 100 damage nuke on a 16-second cooldown that only costs 85 mana. Also, if they're in the front side of the cone, the ability does 150 damage, which is one of the highest damage nukes in the entire early game. This means that it's incredibly easy to push in the wave into your opponent if you so choose, and secure whatever creep you want to. On top of that, if you hit the enemy, it slows their attack speed and movement speed for 1 second by 100% movement speed and 100 attack slow. That basically means they can't do anything, like really, except for cast ability. And so you'll see in this first wave here, and this is something you're going to replicate through every wave, he's going to pull aggro, and he's going to hit the Leshrac, and this is what you want to do too. If the enemy carry, if you're playing this offlane, or if the enemy mid is contesting you mid, instead of trying to last hit the creep with your auto attack, you're going to hit the enemy and then nuke the creep, right? And that's what he does. Maybe he didn't have to nuke that one, but you get the point. This is going to shove the wave into the enemy a little bit, which often is a good thing in the early waves, because it's going to make them tank the creeps. And then on top of that, you're just simply hitting them with a nuke. Now, honestly, the main selling point for me, outside of the fact that Scatterblast is just one of the best laning abilities in the game, is that at level 6, you kind of just threaten almost every hero in Dota, right? Once he's level 5 here, you're going to see him push out the creep wave, and he actually goes for a cookie and an ulti, which seems crazy, right? But honestly, the cookie and ulti here would near kill Quinn. If he hit every glob, it would kill Quinn. And that's nuts, right? Because the guy's full health. And so with any rotation, any stun, you kill almost any hero. Obviously, unless they have a ton of mobility, then, you know, you need to be careful. But yeah, from there, everyone has to be scared of you. On top of that, look at his items. Before boots, he had Crown, Wand, and Bracer, completely statting up, allowing him to hit for 91. 91, right? The Leshrac, on the other hand, is hitting for 70. Now, to be fair, the Leshrac doesn't have a ton of stat items, and so that plays a big part, but you get the point. It's a 20 damage differential, even though they have about the same last hits. And talking about the level 6 ulti, you want to use it as much as you can. It doesn't cost a lot of mana, and the cooldown isn't too bad at 2 minutes. It's not obviously incredible, but considering what the ability does, over 1,000 damage nuke, so you're going to get a kill almost every single time. And so yeah, just try to use it as much as you can. Like this clip, I love it. Gets the kill on Tofu's techies, and then from there just kind of gets like half of the health of Quinn, right? And that's wonderful, because now Quinn is in a weird spot. He's low, right? And he got the kill on techies, so that's a wonderful usage of the ult, in my opinion. And from there, look at this. This clip is insane. I'm sure a lot of you guys who are watching the game and you remember exactly what happens here. Basically, this looked crazy because he goes in on the Lesh, who, you know, usually you don't go in on Lesh like this, right? And the reason why is, you know, Lesh kills you when you're melee range. But GPK doesn't care, right? And they kind of get caught off guard. Celery drops down the tombstone. Lesh seems strong, but a cool push away from the Enchantress allows them to get some good damage. They nuke out Quinn here, and they just auto-attack him to death with his 96 damage and the help of the creep. Chases on to Celery as well, the Scatterblast doing ridiculous amounts of damage, because once again, it does 50% more of the damage. So when it's hitting for 280, you're getting an extra 140, meaning you're hitting for 420 damage if you hit them with the front side of the cone. And with this Arcane Rune, he can continue to chase on. And this is exactly what Snapfire does with or without an Arcane Rune. Obviously not to this crazy extent. You wouldn't really be able to go this crazy without the Arcane Rune, which is why runes are so broken, but still, at the end of the day, you can see the power of the hero. Now, if you're playing in the mid lane, I definitely like Boots of Travel. I think in the off lane, it can be okay if your team doesn't have a lot of like space takers and you can kind of split up the map. And he has this pretty cool combo with Enchantress where he can Boots of Travel onto any of her enchanted creeps. And that allows him to get to top really quickly here and, make this devastating top push. You can see they find Dyrachyo in the backline. Dyrachyo, he sees the Tide and the Lich on the left. He's like, okay, Tide and Lich and, well, Bet Boom in general are diving my tier 1. I'm completely fine to farm back, but nope, they find the Bloodseeker off into the jungle. They get the kill, and he's completely caught off guard by this pretty cool combo as they find Tofu as well. The next thing you want to do on Snapfire is kill a lot of neutrals, which sounds crazy. When your ulti's on cooldown, you want to farm. Now in this clip, his ulti is not on cooldown. They were looking for a kill on the Bloodseeker top and didn't find it. So obviously this is somewhat of an exception. Try to fight with your ulti, make plays, get kills, right? That should be your goal. Then when it's on cooldown, as a mid laner or even as an off laner, often what I recommend you do is you push in the mid lane because you near one-shot the creep wave with Scatterblast. When you hit level 10, you practically do one-shot the creep with Scatterblast with the level 10 70 Scatterblast damage talent, and then you can just farm the nearby camps. You can kill the mid wave, kill this camp, and then kill the next mid wave again. And because of the fact that you have so many stat items and eventually hopefully a stat neutral items, best one being the Occult Bracelet for some mana, as your hero does need mana, so if you can take the Occult Bracelet, I think it's the best one. And you'll see as he farms this camp in 1x speed, it's faster than what you would expect. It's not, rapid speed, right? It's not incredibly quick, but he doesn't even have treads. He doesn't have real attack speed items, so if you do decide to go treads, you want to go more of like a hard right-click build. There's treads and Atos, which you can near have completed by now. You'll hit much quicker and you'll farm the camps even more rapidly. And on top of that, as I said, when you hit level 10, it gets even quicker. So the hero actually can farm very fast as well as fight. And part of my problem with Snapfire in the past was it wasn't the best farming hero. It could kill waves, but it didn't love to jungle nearly as much due to the fact that it would like buy ag or like mech or something like that, and it wouldn't be able to right click the creep camps down. And what I really love about Snapfire just inherently as a hero is the fact that you're always going to have kill potential in the mid game, right? The fact that your ultimate just does so much damage means that you just always can kill people, and in Dota that's a real luxury because there's going to be games where you're like, the game's not going so well, I don't feel like we can kill anyone, or heroes just don't do it. With Snapfire, that's almost never the case, right? As long as you have your ult, you can typically get a kill. This is a full HP carry Bloodseeker. Obviously, he's not that tanky because he's not having that good of a game. And so, to be fair, this guy is weaker than usual, but with one Ravage into one ulti, he's more than dead. And to be fair, he still had a few more globs left, right? He still had 2 or 3 globs wasted. So you can imagine even if Bloodseeker had an Ogre Axe, which, is pretty standard for this time of the game, even if he had BKB, he would have been dropped low and forced to BKB. Now in this teamfight here, I really like the discipline from GPK just to focus on his ult and using Lil Shredder to take out Tombstone. Another cool thing about Snapfire as a hero is it counters some of the popular meta heroes like Undying and Pugna because it can one-shot Netherward and it can one-shot, well, depending on the level of Tombstone, it can one-shot Tombstone. Of course, he can heal Tombstone, which is what he does here, but he's able to nonetheless take out Tombstone pretty damn quickly. And that's really, really strong, right? So it limits some of these meta heroes and their effectiveness in teamfights. That's a big deal. After that, it's just going to be a simple Atos into ulti. Nothing complex, nothing crazy. Drops the Atos and drops the ult on the Quinn. With a great follow-up Ravage, they're able to burst down the Leshrac before the Bloodstone really kicks in, and they get a huge kill. From there, he's going to kite and play the outside, and if anyone overcommits, what you're going to look to do is drop a fat Scatterblast on them. Optimally, if they're melee range, it's really going to pop them, right? And you'll see in this clip here, when the Techies does actually come into point-blank range, he gets destroyed by the Scatterblast, and a Lil Shredder helps finish him off as well. And what's cool about Snap as well is even when your ulti is on cooldown, with this build, you're not a bot, right? Previously with the Ags or the mech build, yes, you would provide your auras, you'd provide the Ags, which is cool, but then once those things were out, you just didn't feel like you did very much because often your levels would be limited due to your farming rate. And on top of that, you would just not right-click very hard. But he's hitting for 182, and this isn't even keeping in mind his later scaling, right? We'll talk about that in a moment, but as this fight continues on, hits a nice cookie on Ace. They are eventually going to have to kite out, but you can see he can right-click, right? If he needs to, especially with the help of Gush, he can right-click as he's going to have to TP out. And here's why I love this build so much. As he goes into Gleipnir now, the reason why Gleipnir is fantastic is at level 15 you get +2 Shredder attacks. However, Little Shredder doesn't use your attack damage at all until you hit level 20, but that's important to note. The reason why I love the Maelstrom is because you do proc Maelstrom on the 8 attacks from Little Shredder. Right? That's a lot of attacks. You're gonna proc like crazy. Usually you'll get about 2 procs, sometimes 3. And so that's just a ton of damage. It's a lot of burst damage. And if you get Grove Bow, that burst damage is amped by Grove Bow as well. And so you get good damage from Maelstrom. You farm really quickly because your attack speed's pretty high because you're buying stat items. And then your Little Shredder really takes advantage of this Maelstrom, and this Atos buildup eventually turns into Gleipnir, which is, wonderful. And then eventually when you hit level 20, that's when you start working towards your Daedalus and building purely right-click, because then you're going to have 8 like Ursa overpower hits that just absolutely destroy people. Unfortunately, we're not going to really see that in this game, but trust me guys, Daedalus Little Shredder can one-shot supports. And now let's take a look at the last fight of the game. One of the cool things about Snap as well is the fact that once you hit level 20, which he's now hit, you're hitting for 300 and you can actually siege for your team, especially if you go this Hurricane Pike type build. And so that's what he was doing. He was using Little Shredder to take the tier 3 tower. When it gets low, they were actually able to drop a nullifier on the Leshrac and kill him, right? Quinn overextends a little bit. From there, he's going to continue to siege using the Little Shredder to take the building. You'll see in a moment from now, because it reduces armor as well, it absolutely shreds racks, right? So you just have a wonderful way to go high ground without committing very hard. And Little Shredder is not a long cooldown by any means, and so yeah, it's a great way to siege. From there, as the fight continues to progress, he's a little bit low on mana, but with the Little Shredder, he's able to blast this Bloodseeker. And now look at this damage as the Little Shredder begins to kick in. Half of Bloodseeker's health with the help of just a Ravage and an Anchor Smash is unbelievable, right? This is the enemy carry we're talking about, and they're able to just shred the guy, get it, and take him out. But alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I just really believe in this hero. If you give it a shot, you're gonna notice how really good it feels. There's a lot of different item builds you can go on this hero because of the fact that it's a universal hero, and that's part of the luxury as well. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace!
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace!